Hello. So I've mentioned it a million times, but I am getting married very soon. And so I figured it might be helpful or maybe just interesting for people to go through the makeup that I am planning on wearing for my wedding. And yes, it is a lot. So if you want to see what I'm planning on wearing, or if you're looking for suggestions for your own wedding, then go ahead and just keep on watching and subscribe. So before we get into it, I figured I'd describe the look that I'm going for. I like a very natural base for my makeup. I don't want anything too thick or full coverage. That's just not the look I normally go to on a day-to-day basis. And I want my wedding makeup to be pretty symbolic of what I actually look like every day. So that way when I look at pictures, I'm like, oh yes, that's how I remember myself looking, you know? One of the reasons I like to do a lighter coverage look is, one, I find that it wears better, and if it does start to break apart, it looks less apparent, I've found. And since I plan on partying hard and dancing my booty off, I figured now is the time to have makeup that will fade gracefully. And so I've done a few wear tests with all of these products to make sure that I like how it looks at different stages throughout the day, and I'm pretty happy with this combination. I also really like light coverage looks because I have freckles and I love to let them shine through, but still give myself a more even skin tone. So that was the goal with my choices. I've kind of got everything laid out in order that I would put it on. So the first thing that I am going to be putting on is the e.l.f. Putty Primer, and this is the acne fighting one. I actually have used up a whole one of these, so I repurchased it just in time for the wedding. You can see I've kind of had to dig into it a little bit already, but I really like this product. I like it more than the original because of the fact that it has salicylic acid in it. That's definitely a draw. It's something that I use in my skincare routine, and so I like that it has that as an active ingredient. I also find that it is pretty smoothing. So what I normally do is I'll put this on and then I switch over to doing my eye makeup and let this kind of soak into my skin, so that way I'm not just adding layer upon layer immediately, because then things maybe don't play as well together. So after I've put on my eyeshadow and my mascara, then I will typically go in with my next base step, and that is the Auric Glow Lust. I have the new Morganite shade, and I find that this works really well. I like that it has some coverage to it, but it also has a lot of shine, and it melds into my skin very nicely. And so what I normally do is after I've done my eyeshadow, I'll put this on, then I'll go back to the eyes to work on my eyebrows while this kind of soaks in and sets, and then I'll move on to my next base step. This just adds a little bit of glow and makes my skin look nice and healthy, but I find it doesn't look too oily throughout the day as I have it on. And again, I just like that it has a little bit of tint, since what I'm wearing on top of it also has very light coverage. They kind of work together to give me the amount of coverage that I want. So after this has had some time to soak into the skin and I've done my eye makeup, then I'll go in with the e.l.f. Power Grip. This is the one that also has niacinamide in it. So I have used the Power Grip for a long time. I find that it is pretty similar to the Milk Hydro Grip, but it also seems to play nicer with other things, and so I like it quite a bit. And the reason I'm putting it on top of these other products is because I really want the rest of my color cosmetics and base to stick to my skin, and so I've found that this is the best order to get those results. Shout out to Robert Welsh for teaching me that the order of primers and mixing them can work and is very important. So there you go. So normally when I'm doing this makeup routine, I let this sit for about a minute. That's what the power or the hydro grip instructions say. I don't know if this says that or not, but I find that's what I still do. Then before I go in with my base product, like for coverage, I will typically use the under eye corrector from Becca. I love this product, and I put that on first so that way, again, it has some time to kind of sit and soak before I put concealer on top of it. So then for base, I am using the Maracuja Tinted Hydrator from Tarte. I'm really sad because I think that they are discontinuing this, and I love this product, so that's such a shame. This is the shade 10N Fair Neutral, and I find that it actually works really well for my skin. I don't want to use a ton of it because, again, I am running out. Like, it's very low on product. It doesn't, you can't really tell, but it is. And so I want to make sure I have enough for the day of, but you can see it here. And again, I just feel like it matches my skin tone well. It does have some coverage and it wears well, and it doesn't like cake up on my nose, which is something I'm always worried about because it feels like things always do. And so this doesn't, and I think it looks pretty good. It keeps my skin looking healthy, and yeah, I will try to post some pictures after the fact of what my makeup looked like. So if you're curious, be sure to follow me on Instagram for that. So after that, I go in with concealer to do my under eyes. This is the Kosas like concealer. They only have one. This is the shade 0.5. I did have this before and I freaking loved it, but it did go bad on me, so I threw my old one out, and I just repurchased this during the Sephora sale because I knew I wanted to have it again for my wedding, and I've been wearing it again since I've had it, and I've been so happy with it. I forgot how good it is. It just, the color of it is so good for me. To give a little bit of brightening, but also like not be too much, you know? And I find that it has a really nice coverage. Like, it definitely does cover, but it doesn't look like too thick, which is again something that I like to avoid with my makeup, both every day and especially for my wedding, since I'm going to be taking so many pictures. This is the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in the shade Vanilla, and I'm using this one as a spot concealer if I have spots to conceal. It's a little bit more of a heavy coverage than anything else that I have for the day, and I find that the color matches pretty well to the tinted like hydrator from Tarte, and so this is the one I'll be using for any spot concealing. So for highlighter, I'm going to be going with the Light Wand in Spotlight. Guys, I didn't want to like this because it's really expensive, but I can't lie, it is so good. It's really, really good. It doesn't have like any noticeable sparkle in it, but the shine in it is very, very nice and lifelike, and I love the color of it. I do have the e.l.f. one, and I've been testing it out, but I think I do still like this one better. I mean, it's really expensive, so I don't know if it's worth the cost. Like, it's got 2 milliliters more than the e.l.f. one, which is crazy because package-wise, this is the contour, but they're all the same packaging. They look like they're so much smaller, don't they? But they only have 2 milliliters less. I will say when I got this, I was surprised by how empty feeling it was right from the get-go. Other people have talked about this though, but the one thing that's nice about the Charlotte Tilbury one is it has that locking mechanism where the e.l.f. ones don't. So color-wise, they're not the same, and I'm sticking with the Charlotte for my wedding. For blush and bronzer, I'm going with Tower 28. I picked this up during the Sephora sale as well. This is their new, like, I think they're calling it contour, but this is definitely a bronzer. This is the shade Broad, and I find it really nice. It's not too deep and it shears out well, which is what I like in a bronzer, because I only put it on my forehead and I don't want it to be like, oh wow, she's got a lot of bronzer on, you know? And I really like the lasting power of the Tower 28 products, so I find texture-wise this is very similar to the blush, and I've been happy with it so far. The blush that I'm using is Magic Hour. Yes, it's Magic Hour, and I have had this for a while. It doesn't smell off or anything, and so I keep using it, but look how like little it looks like I've used. Like, there's a dip in it, but it's not a lot, and it's because you don't need a lot of this. Like, it is very pigmented, and so a little goes a long way. And I find that it's a very natural color for myself. I wanted something a little bit more natural looking, and that's really the vibe of my wedding makeup overall, is I just wanted something to like emphasize my natural beauty and not be like super dramatic or anything like that. So then the last things for the base, I've got the Charlotte Tilbury powder in Fair, and I really like this powder. Again, I hate myself for liking the Charlotte Tilbury products, but I cannot lie, I really do. This powder is really nice. I have the flower one, which I heard was a dupe, but I find that this plays better with things and keeps me looking a little less shiny throughout the day, helps my makeup stay looking like how it does when I initially apply it, and it doesn't look too thick or anything, which, how many times am I going to say that in this video? And then there is still some product in here. You see that little tiny bit at the bottom? You can kind of see. This is actually the Urban Decay setting spray, but I put it in this mister because I like this mister more than the travel size of the Urban Decay I had. So I'm not going to spray it because you're not going to be able to really see anything about it, but this is what I'm planning on using. So for eyes, I always start off with the Urban Decay Primer Potion in Eden. This is my favorite primer to use, and honestly, I'm kind of running low on this one. It's very, very empty, but I find that it matches my natural skin tone well, and I like a primer that has a little bit of coverage to it because I've got some blue veins on my eyelids and I like to cancel those out. So I'm going to be putting that down. And then of course it wouldn't be me if I didn't have a BYOP. So these are just some mattes. I mean, they're all very similar in color, these three. The first two are maybe like a little bit lighter, and then the third is a little deeper. I guess maybe not. Maybe I swatched them in the wrong order, but whatever. Long story short, I've got some very neutral brown eyeshadows to start light, fluff it out in the crease, and then build up a little bit of depth in the outer third of my crease and then into like the outer corner. I want to keep it light and I don't want to go too dark or heavy. That's honestly how I do my makeup most of the time. I am definitely a light and bright over deep and dark and vampy type of person most of the time. And so these three I felt like were pretty neutral browns. I think that these two, or like this one came from Lorac. I think this one's maybe ABH, and then this one is BH Cosmetics, and this is an ABH shadow as well. It's just a deep brown to smoke out my lash line just a tiny bit on the outer third, both on the bottom lashes and the top lashes. But then after I do that, I'll be putting down my primer, like my glitter primer from NYX, and then I'll be putting a shimmer on top of it. So a lot of these mattes will get covered up. So I have a few shimmers in here just in case, but the ones that I'm planning on using, this is from my recent Glam Shop order. This is the shade Kinda Posh, and I just thought it was a great wedding shade. It's not like special in a lot of ways, like it's a very neutral shade. There's no shifts or anything in it, but it's got a really beautiful sparkle. I wanted a like smaller particle size so that way it looks less textured in pictures. And then I'm thinking I might end up using the Sydney Grace shade Phosphenes as kind of a deepening shade over the matte brown, but this is going to be the main star of the show. And then this shade down here is from BH Cosmetics. This is, I think it's from the Hawaii palette, like the travel series that they did. This is my favorite highlighting shade that I have. I freaking love it. It is like, it works well with cool tones, warm tones. It's got a very nice champagne, and honestly, color-wise, I think it matches the Charlotte Tilbury Spotlight wand really well. So I'm definitely using this. I use it all the time. Look at that dip in it. I'm gonna be so sad if I ever like run out of this someday. But I mean, you don't need very much, and I only use it as an inner corner brow bone shade, so I probably won't. For the lash line, I'm going to be using this Pixie eyeliner. This is the shade, what shade is this? Rose Glow. And I'm just gonna use this a tiny little bit and then smoke it out. And that's just to, you know, add a little bit more dimension. And then on the rest of my eyes, I'll be using this eyeliner. It's got a sheen finish, and again, I'll blend it out, so it's just a little bit brightening. This is from the Avatar collab with ColourPop. I think it's the shade Air. I'm not sure though, because ColourPop, like notoriously, the writing rubs off of these pencils for me. Then for eyebrows, I'm sticking with my normal eyebrow routine, which is all NYX. This is the micro brow pencil in ash brown. I'll go ahead and show you the color if you're curious. What I typically do is I just run this through sparse parts of my brows. There's like a few parts that always are a little sparse. So I'll run it through, and then I take the spoolie and I work it in to kind of soften it up. And it does lose some of those lines, but it also makes it less like intense, you know, which is what I want. Then to get those lines back, I will go in with the brow pen. This is again in the shade Ash Brown, and I do very light strokes, and I kind of try to follow the natural shape of my brow. And then once I'm done with that, I typically like tap it out a little bit to again soften it, but still keep those lines intact a little bit more. And then I use the Thick It Stick It brow gel. This is the shade Cool Ash Brown, and it's pretty thick. This again, I'm running out of product in this. I use it every day, and I've been doing that for a long time. Like when I squeeze it, like nothing comes out. It's pretty much empty. But this is the brow gel I'll be using, and I feel like it holds my brows in place pretty well. And last but not least, for mascara, I've got this 100 Point Perk mascara. It's the superhero mascara from IT Cosmetics, but the waterproof version, and I've been wearing it to test it out. I don't find that it irritates my eyes, and it is waterproof, but I feel like it gives me a little bit of smudging, so I'm still testing it out in TBD. If I don't end up using it, I'll use my Lash Flash, which is like a warm water tubing mascara. I find that this doesn't smudge throughout the day. It's a little less dramatic, which I've been told, like for pictures, it's better to have something a little bit bolder, so that way it shows up in the picture. But for sure, no matter what, I'm using this on my lower lashes, because when I've tried this on my lower lashes, it looks a little clumpy to me personally. And that is my eye makeup. So then last but not least for lips, I am going to be using the Oma by Sharon C at Walmart brand lip tint. This is the shade Casually Lit. And I'm going to be putting this on quite a while beforehand, like probably the first step out of my makeup, so that way it has time to sit and soak. But I want something that's going to last as a base on my lips, so that way I'm never like just fully naked on the lips, you know? So this is one that I really enjoy. It's a little bit warm for the rest of the makeup, but I think it'll look okay, especially because I'm going to be putting things on top of it. What I'm going to put on like before the ceremony is the Kosas Lip Cloud in the shade Dune. And I find that texture-wise, this is really nice. It's a great color for like a little bit of a deeper nude color for me. And I was told by my friend that like it's better again to have a deeper color than you might think you should because of the pictures. So I'm going to be wearing this. I find that it dries down and it's pretty transfer proof and very, very comfortable. And so I'm going to be wearing that on top. And then throughout the night, as I need to replenish whatever is on my lips, I'm going to be switching to the Clinique. What is this one called? Black Cherry? Is that what this is called? Black Honey. The one that was like really popular on TikTok a while ago. But I'm going to be switching to this for a more like easy look throughout the rest of the night. And that is all of the makeup. Am I high maintenance? I think so. I think you can tell for sure I'm a makeup lover. I've really enjoyed the process of like experimenting and trying different combinations each day to figure out what it was that I wanted to wear. Especially because, I mean, this is going to be the most pictures I have of me in my entire life, and so I was like, I better make sure I've got my makeup on point. All right, so now I'd love to know if you've gotten married in the past, what makeup did you wear, or for any big events, what is like your go-to makeup? What do you think of what I've got laid out? And until I see you next time, I hope that you stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy. Bye.